Move to Vermont, get $10,000. Then what? South Stratford, Vermont. Matt Christie knew that life had changed dramatically shortly after moving here from Malden in January. His car battery, Christie, 38, came to Vermont as part of a meant to attract new residents who work remotely and thus can live anywhere as the state struggles with a stagnant population. Those who qualify can receive up to $10,000 over a 2-year period to cover their moving and home office costs, and in return, the state gets additional taxpayers to help fund schools and roads and social services. 33 worker, Christie, an environmental consultant, and his wife, Caitlin, 37, who stays at home with their 21-month-old son, Connor, went to high school together in Hanover, NH, and had been thinking about moving closer to their families. The $3,000. Christie had been living in cities for the past 9 years, where he found the anonymity oppressive, and he was ready to get back to what he calls intentional community. The neighbors, when they walk by, they wave, said Christie, who has already been to town and school board meetings, and has joined the local Energy and Climate Committee. There's an expectation. Vermont has launched several efforts to prop up its aging population, which has hovered around 625,000 for the past decade and is expected to drop. It is the country's. In January, the state is expanding its worker recruitment efforts to people who relocate to work for local employers, dedicating $1.2 million for the new initiative, with reimbursements up to $7,500 apiece. We're basically going to try every new and every creative way to get people into the state, said Joan Goldstein, Commissioner of Vermont's Department of Economic Development. The population. There has been some pushback about the remote worker program from those who questioned why money was going to outsiders with good jobs when there were so many residents in need. Environmental Act. Vermont is not the only state facing demographic declines. U.S. population. This dwindling supply of workers means a smaller tax base and a less enticing environment for employers. Ike's potentials. In the meantime, Vermont is working on its own ways to bring in new residents. And the growing ability. Rachel Stokes-Hung and her husband, Steve, were living in St. Petersburg. It kept getting hotter down there, she said. And when it keeps, so the couple, who both work for a digital marketing firm with an all-remote workforce, found an apartment in downtown Waterbury and moved up in January, with help from a $3,600 reimbursement check from the state. Hung's mother-in-law, Hung, 30, doesn't mind that Waterbury only has like 5 restaurants, because they're all good, or that there's only one Target in the entire state. If I want something. Terrence Fradett and his wife, Molly Lawrence, are avid skiers and hikers and often found themselves making the trek up to Vermont from Jamaica Plain. They were already Fradett's Boston-based company, Panorama Education, was fine with him becoming a full-time remote employee, and he splits his time between working at home and a co-working space. The couple original, Fradett and Lawrence, both native New Englanders. He's from western Massachusetts, she's from Maine. You love their new life in Vermont, even if the snowfall totals were a bit of a shock. Winter is like in Stratford, where the historic churches are the biggest buildings in town and the verdant, wooded hills are filled with hiking trails. The Christies are thrilled with their new life. There may be no this spring. For the first time, Caitlin noticed the birds coming back, first the robins, then the goldfinches, then the blue jays. You're really plugged. Matt travels a few times a year for work, but other than that, he's home. I can wake up, play with Connor, help him with his breakfast, hang out with him right until the drop of 9, hand him off to Caitlin, jump into my office, he said. Then 5 o'clock, Katie Johnston can be reached at. Follow her on Twitter.
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.